Welcome everyone to Marvel Hub. We finally have breaking news about both Deadpool 3 and the inclusion of the X-Men within the MCU. Definitely stay tuned. So while speaking with Collider, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige confirmed that Deadpool 3 is still in development. His official statement was, it will be rated R and we are looking on a script right now, and Ryan's also overseeing the script. It will not be filming this year since Ryan is a very busy and very successful actor. We've got a number of things we've already announced that we now have to make, but it's exciting for it to have begun. Again, a very different type of character in the MCU, and Ryan is a force of nature, which is just awesome to see him bring that character to life. So if you guys are worried about Disney making a PG-13 type of Deadpool movie, that just isn't going to happen. Now, what I would say is that if Deadpool has cameos in future MCU projects that aren't rated R, of course will be toned down a little bit, but in Deadpool 3, a dedicated sequel to Deadpool 2, it'll be just like the originals, which is very exciting news. Now, I would also say Deadpool 3 might not feel like a direct sequel to Deadpool 2 in the sense that it won't be a Fox movie, right? We might not see a lot of X-Men cameos or references to the events of the first two films, but in spirit, it'll still be the same Deadpool that we love to see. Now, if I also had to guess, I would say that Deadpool 3 might feature, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool kind of experiencing different events of the MCU that have happened thus far, kind of overlooking what has happened from Iron Man 1 to Spider-Man Far From Home. That's just my guess, but if that doesn't happen, then maybe it will be a standalone story that just takes place in the same MCU universe. Who knows how it's going to work, but there's a lot of catching up for this Deadpool to actually experience on what's happened over 11 years of MCU movies. Now, Ryan Reynolds responded to this new information with the following tweet. Full disclosure, I showed them Spider-Man 1 and 2 and told them it was Deadpool 1 and 2. So I guess he's as surprised as we are that Disney is okay doing an R-rated movie, an R-rated Marvel movie that is. So it's going to be interesting, right? I mean, the future of the MCU is definitely bright. We already have so many projects announced for Phase 4 and Phase 5, so I'm curious where Deadpool 3 is going to fit in, but again, if we all had to guess, we can probably say at some point during Phase 5. It could even be sooner, right? Who actually knows? At least we know that Fantastic Four is already confirmed to be in the next couple of years, so Disney's definitely moving forward with using as many Fox properties as possible. It'll just take a couple of years to finally see them on the big screen or even the small screen. Would have been much sooner, but of course the pandemic, the MCU got pushed back by an extra year, right? Phase 4 was supposed to start last May and isn't going to start until this upcoming Friday when WandaVision begins. So a bit of a delay there, but we also have a new rumor from insider Daniel Reichman, who says that Marvel apparently wants to sign Ryan Reynolds to the biggest MCU deal that we've ever seen. Bigger than the deals that we saw for Robert Downey Jr., Samuel Jackson, Sebastian Stan, who walked away with millions and millions of dollars after Phase 3 ended. So with that being said, if that's the case, right, we're looking at several cameos from Deadpool and a lot of upcoming projects. If anything, I could definitely see Deadpool being the new quote-unquote Stan Lee, where he makes small cameos in pretty much every single MCU movie. That doesn't take away from the movie at all, right? Just a small joke or a gag in, every single Marvel project. Let's just see how that works out. But Deadpool 3 is, of course, going to happen. Maybe X-Force will become a thing, in the next 5+ years. And then, of course, we're going to be waiting for a cameo of his and maybe X-Men or Fantastic Four. That'll definitely happen. But if he's signing the biggest deal in Marvel history, I would just have to assume that he'll be making cameos in almost every upcoming project that makes sense for him to appear in. Now, we also got another rumor from the woman herself, Grace Randolph, who said, here's a scoop. I'm also hearing Deadpool will show up in Spider-Man 3 or Doctor Strange 2, or maybe even both. And, if we had to take a look at this, right, and think about it really hard, I would say Grace could be throwing shit at a wall and expecting it to stick. I mean, I think an appearance of Spider-Man 3 is probably a given, even if it's a small cameo. Doctor Strange 2, I guess, also makes sense, right? Exploring the multiverse, we'll probably see a couple of seconds of the Fox universe and, older Marvel movies that weren't in the MCU. So these are real easy guesses to make, and I'm sure one of them will come true, which is why she probably put the tweet out. But she has blocked people in the past for simply debunking something that wasn't true. I mean, she was so set in stone about Norman Osborn appearing in Spider-Man Far From Home that didn't even happen. It wasn't even close. And once people started pointing that out, even though it was confirmed by her quote-unquote source, she immediately started blocking half the internet. So let's see if that comes true. I would say one of those movies is very likely for him to appear in, but in terms of what his first appearance is going to be in the MCU, I almost wouldn't be shocked if they waited until releasing Deadpool 3 before throwing him in as a cameo in other MCU projects, just to make sure that the audience doesn't get confused that Disney now owns the Fox properties, and just so the audience understands what Deadpool's role is going to be like going forward in the MCU, along with the X-Men, Fantastic Four, etc. That's just my theory, but I also wouldn't be shocked if towards the end of WandaVision, in the next couple of weeks, we do get a tease for the word mutant, right? In Avengers Age of Ultron, Baron Strucker referred to Wanda and her brother as miracles, so he couldn't say mutants, even though it's probably what they want wanted him to say. So maybe towards the end of the series, we finally get the acknowledgement that individuals like herself are mutants now. And maybe in Doctor Strange 2, they also acknowledge that in other worlds and other timelines, there are enhanced individuals like her, but they're known as something else, and they have different abilities than what we've seen in the MCU so far. So let's see if they rip the Band-Aid off slowly in the MCU, kind of introducing us to mutants first, and these different individuals with abilities, and then from that point forward, they'll start throwing in familiar characters like Deadpool, the X-Men, etc. But that is about it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I'm going to look out for the latest and greatest Marvel news and information. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out, everyone.